What is up, guys? Welcome back to Breakout Trading. It is Thursday, August 20th, and I'm going to be going over a very important lesson that I learned today. And this one I think is important, and I want to share it with you guys. So let's jump right in. So first off, today, ending a nice solid green day here, up here 25.74. And something that I did today that I've never really done before is I completely removed the unrealized and realized P&L from my trading window. So I technically had no idea how much I was up or down the stock in the position or when I was finished the position, and that really helped me today. That's something I'm definitely going to start implementing permanently from here on out. It's not like I just was guessing. So what I did is before I entered the trade, I wrote down where my entry would be, where my stop loss would be based on the pattern and how much I was risking. But not seeing those flashing numbers in the corner of my eye really helped me focus on just a chart pattern and selling where the resistance is, trading the chart, not trading my P&L. And that's part of the reason I think that I'm up 25.74 today, because I just wasn't focused on oh my god, I just made 10 bucks, I'm just going to take that. It was, okay, what can I actually get out of this chart? So that really helped. That's something that I really recommend people do, and it helped me today. So anyways, today I actually had to shut it down because I was going to FOMO into GEVO. So we had our nice 2 trades on GEVO and one pretty nice trade on WWR in the morning. Yes, I am very happy with these 2 gains, except I could have literally made like $100 plus on GEVO if I had held where I held. It was really depressing watching that thing go all the way up to $2, and I sold at 120. I'll go over that though. Yeah, so when I saw that it was pumping that much, I knew I just had to shut it down. I wanted to lock in the gain today, not give back any of this good green day because I was trading emotionally. So we'll jump right into that. So yeah, up there 25.74. So the first trade though was WWR, so we'll go over that. Oh, I don't even have WWR screenshotted. Okay, I'm just going to hop into this really quick. And we'll just go look at WWR. Yeah, Tesla, crazy move today too, all the way up there to two grand. That's pretty impressive. So WWR, look at that, nice perfect little top tick there. Wow, this thing sold off today. I think I might have taken that off my watch list. Oh no, it's still there. Yeah, so this was a pretty nice trade, honestly. Like I said, I don't have my P&L up here anymore, so I think, yeah, I made 11. We just looked. So I'll go over the setup for this. Back in the morning. So this was, oops. So this one had some news this morning about a battery graphite. Westwater announces start of pilot program for battery graphite. Like I said, the news to me doesn't matter that much. All that matters is the actual, what the stock actually is. So it's a 7.5 million share float with 15 million market cap with news and volume. So that's all I need to know to make a trade. First up, this thing just started pumping in the morning, and I think I bought like a pullback to Fibonacci, I think it was. What exactly did I do on this one? I actually forgot I took this trade. GEVO was just so crazy. So yeah, this one basically just made a big move up. Had kind of, oh no, okay, I remember now. It's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. So first off, I was watching for this sort of breakout right here of kind of like this bull flag, like that stock yesterday. I forget the ticker name, that halted BDR, I think. So same kind of pattern. I had this huge move up, formed a bit of a flag, and then you can see it broke below VWAP with volume. So I kind of looked away, but then boom, it reclaimed it. So I hopped in there because I knew some shorts would be definitely caught up in that, and it's definitely a fake out at that point. Plus it broke past this downtrend line. So hopped in there at 275 for 50 shares, and my stop loss was just below VWAP, just below this little support here. and it immediately popped all the way up to like $3, and I sold half there at $2.96 and the other half there at $3.06, locking in that $10 or so. And I will go to the daily chart here just so you guys can see just why I sold this. So for some reason, there we go, okay. So here's the daily chart, WWR. You can see we had some pretty clear resistance right there. Oops, what the? Where did it go? Some pretty clear resistance right there at 312. So a top tick here by these 2 days. And I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, that's the reason I sold there. And you can see how well that acted as resistance today too. Price pretty much coming exactly up to that area. So that's how I knew to get out as soon as it was near there. Plus it was very, very like explosive. And a lot of times, you know, this is a 1 minute candle. If it moves up that much in 1 minute, it's probably not going to stay there. Even though it had great volume, you still want to get out of those things and take your profit. And you can see this is an example where if you didn't take your profit quick, you wouldn't have had any profit at all. So really glad that this is definitely a scalp trade, but a good entry nonetheless, and taking the profits where they should have been taken. So yeah, that's WWR. So I'm going to exit out of this actually because, no, I'll stay in this actually. Well, I'll go back in at the end of what I go over. So what I want to go over is all these little screenshots here of GEVO. So let's start on the first trade of GEVO. So this is just my desktop. I don't really have anything private on here. I kind of scanned through before, so I don't really care if this is out in the public eye. So what I'm going to do first off is start at the beginning. So I screenshot as I trade. So I kind of have like a little time machine where I can go back to the moment in the day and even see my open orders, for example, that stop market order right there. So GEVO was gapping up on some, I don't think it had, oh yeah, it had some sort of news about batteries or something too, I can't remember. But this one was a bit of a bigger float. It was like almost like 40 million, so going to be a bit of a slower mover, but as you can see right there in the morning, it had great volume, up in the millions. So even though it was a larger float and it would move slower, I knew that once it could move. It has enough volume to move the stock, even though it's bigger float. So the first trade, buying under resistance again, same as yesterday. Really dumb move, anticipating the breakout. So I took a loss yesterday doing this, and I effing did it again like an idiot. And as soon as I got in, I was like, oh, you did it again. It was almost like I didn't even realize I was doing it until I had already done it. But this time I got lucky, thankfully. So anyways, yeah, there's that resistance, resistance, resistance. And then this candle opened up right here, and I thought we would bust through, and I wanted to get in line for that. Bought 100 shares there at, looks like about 119. And my stop loss was below VWAP and the 3-minute trade line. Really bad entry. So far, this is a terrible trade, honestly. So in that one, though, once again, we bought here. We ended up getting lucky, and we actually did crack that resistance and popped up here to 120, where I took half a piece off of profit, and I moved my stop loss here up to break even. So it was now a winning trade no matter what. It was just, yeah, see, I say got lucky this time, because usually it doesn't break through resistance. Usually it's just not a good place to buy its resistance. Example yesterday. You can also see that the volume is pretty nice here. So yeah, move my stop loss up there to break even, and I'll go over why that's actually not a good place to put a stop loss either. So, mistake. I sold half up here. Nothing wrong with taking profit at a push through the high of day. I don't regret that. But for the other half, I put my stop loss at break even, which my entry was 112. But that was the initial high of day support right here. See, support, resistance, and then now it's going to act as support. So what I should have done is had my stop loss below this support line, because what would happen if your stop loss is right on a support line is the price will come down, take your stop out, but the support will hold, and then the price will continue up. That's not what you want. A better stop loss area would have been right here in this little red box I have. So that has 3 areas of areas that need to break before you get stopped out. The first area was that initial high of day. The second area is VWAP, and the third area is that whole number of $1. So that would have been an epic place to put a stop loss. And God, I wish I really put a stop loss there on the whole position. Just let it ride, and you'll see why. But anyways, next time, do not put a stop loss on top of a support level. You can see, of course, right there, I got stopped out, but it was the initial high support, so the price bounced off that, and then it did, however, end up breaking it. But then, like I said, once you have those 3 kind of levels that it has to break through to hit your stop loss, the initial high of day couldn't hold it, but VWAP did. And if my stop loss was here, like I said in that last photo, I would have been safe for the continued move. So as you can see, 112 stopped me out, but it acted as support like it should have. Next time, put the stop loss lower. So at this point, that was the first trade. So just ignore these 2 arrows right now. So this right here was the first trade. Terrible entry, a good little trim there on a push through the high of day, and a terrible break-even stop loss. So not a good first trade, honestly. So then I will go into this one. Okay, so now the second trade is someone in the chat called out a TTG triangle forming, and I initially was like, no, it's not a TTG triangle because 112 broke. But the more I looked at it, it actually did look like a TTG triangle, just not like a perfect perfect one. You can see here's the high of day. We broke through that with some half-decent volume, and then we were on top with a downtrend line. So that technically was a TTG triangle, and once I kind of saw that setting up, I entered in again. So what I did here is I quickly jotted down my risk here on a piece of paper. Very clear area for a stop loss, which was right underneath VWAP, the 236, and the initial high of day. So very nice area. So entered in there at about 112 with the stop loss at 105. Market stop, so I can just take my hands off, and if the pattern breaks, I don't have to mentally get out. I'm not going to beg, hold it, or anything. It'll automatically get me right out of that. So this is a great entry so far on this TTG triangle setup trade. You can see we have kind of alright volume. It's decreasing, and we're looking for that spike now on the breakout of the triangle. So we did end up getting that. We had a nice breakout there on the triangle, and I took a little piece of profit there, a quarter of the position off at another push to the high of day at 125, and then I moved my stop loss up to break even again. Again, I think I have a bit too tight of a stop loss on this. I should have left it down here underneath VWAP and the 236, and even better, I should have left it underneath the dollar at that red box I was talking about earlier. That would have been the best place to put a stop loss today. But so far, still a good trade. You can see that now we're getting that volume spike when we break out of the triangle. And then this is where the whole trade starts to go south, because for whatever reason, and here it is in the video, the title of the video, my biggest flaw in trading is I do not hold my winners long enough. I don't hold my winning trades long enough. I have a great risk to reward ratios usually in my trades, but I never hold it until that final take profit. So that means that when I have winners, they're not as big as they should be, and like the amount I'm risking is like, okay, I don't know how to say this, but like, you know, you want to have a 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio for trades usually. So that means that even if you have a break even, a 50% win rate, you're still going to be profitable, which I have. I literally have a 50% win rate. If you go to my trader view here, I'll go to, you know, this month. I literally have 50% winning and losing ratio. But I'm not being profitable because what I'm doing is my losers are canceling out my winners because my winners aren't bigger than my losers. In trading, you have got to have bigger winners than you have losers. So far in August, I'm 50-50 win-loss. This trade, this was yesterday, so I guess today will put me like 51-49%. but I gotta hold on to those winners longer, because shit like this happens where I have a great position, but look at what I'm doing right now. I'm scaling out of it because I'm afraid that this level isn't going to break. So this is where this is where it looked like this stock would double top to me. It had a failed push to make a new high, and the volume was quickly running dry and turning red. So honestly, looking at this again, it doesn't look like the worst spot to take profit. You can see that I'm selling, 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 and as this thing is crapping out on the push to make a new high, I exited my last piece of the position right there. So entry here, and I sold right there at 120 area. So looking at this again, that wasn't like the worst thing in the world to do, because you can see that from this picture on the 1 minute chart. It does look like we're getting pretty big resistance there at 122, and we tried to make a new high. There wasn't a massive spike in volume, and now we're selling off, right? So what I did is I exited my whole position there because I didn't want this trade to turn into a loser. What I should have done is I should have waited for this area here to act as support, because that's the initial high of day, and that's VWAP coming up, and we even had this little swing low here where I could have put my stop. So stop loss right around here at like $1.06 area would have been a great place to put the stop loss for the remaining like 75% of the position. Entry here, and see if this thing could recover. When I was trading this, it looked like this volume here was just, you know, going down with the stock getting rejected from the highs. But now looking at it again, it kind of looks like a bullish low volume pullback where we had that nice green spike, and it's slowly pulling back on like a nice light volume pullback. So exited the whole trade there at 118, and as you can see, this thing started ripping. A stop loss placed here on the remainder of the position would have worked very nicely instead of selling it all in the pullback. So we sold all of it here. Entry was right here. And you can see that this thing pulled back almost right to that high of day, but didn't even touch a VWAP. It was very strong, and it had put in a bit of a doji candle bottom here, and it just took off. And obviously I wasn't holding any more of this position there, and I wasn't going to enter back in and chase it, because the nice entries for this were like here and here and here along VWAP and the initial high of day. And still, you know, I wasn't FOMOing too bad at this point, because it still didn't have any sort of crazy breakout volume or whatever. It was just kind of a grinder. But as you can see, it just started ripping. So here it is, my #1 flaw as a trader. I always sell too early. The target was 150. Right, this is another thing. So when I entered this trade originally, the TTG triangle setup right there, I had in my head, and I wrote down on the paper for the trade, 150 is the target. Like 150 is the target area, because look at how obvious it was on the daily chart. So this is over here. This is the daily chart. I just have merged these images together. You can see. I wonder if I can zoom in. Yeah. So GEVO daily chart. You can see how perfectly we had a high here at 150, and the 200-day moving average all lined up right here in this 150 area. So that was my target. That was where I wanted to sell my final piece, but I ended up selling it all at 120. Why? I don't know, because I'm an idiot, and I didn't hold on long enough, and I didn't trust my own analysis and my own system. You can see how beautifully a stop loss below VWAP would have worked for this trade. It would have been phenomenal to have rode that thing up. So I should have scaled out here, and maybe even held even to up here-ish. This is where I would have been happy scaling out at 150. I'm not even mad that the thing went up so much more, but what I did is I panicked out here because I was too afraid to give up any sort of loss. I really thought it would double top, you know, but I should have just had my stop loss right here below VWAP and let this thing play itself out. And as you can see, 20 minutes later, after I took the last screenshot right here, 20 minutes later, this thing just starts really opening up. So we're at 162 now, and at this point I'm pretty upset, because I'm like, I had such a nice entry, a nice trade, and I just messed up the execution. This is my #1 problem. This could have been my biggest trade of my career today, but I sold all my shares at 120. And this is when I knew I had to step away. So, god damn. So like 120, here's where we sold all the shares, and this thing ripped up all the way to $2. So obviously I wouldn't have held all the way up to 2, but even if I sold some at 150 area, that would have been a much nicer profit, and that would have been according to my plan. Crying emoji. Well, I bet I'm not the only one who sold too early. I'm emotional now and have FOMO on this, so I have to be done for the day. I booked a nice green day. Nothing to be sad about. So, yes, today was a great green day. I got my piece of the pie. I have to be happy. It was half decent execution on the second trade. The first one buying into resistance was terrible, but my first trade on, what was it, like WWR, that was a pretty good one. A bit more of a scalp. So I had good execution today, but man, I just have to learn how to hold on to those winners longer, because that's how I'm really going to be able to get profitable, is having those big winning days that, you know, make up for a month of red days. Is days like today where I had the right idea, I just sold too early. If I try to FOMO back into this, I'll lose all my gains on the day, and then I would be very upset. So I called it a day today. I haven't even logged back into the, well, I guess I just did log back in just to check WWR, but you know, I haven't really logged back in at all to look at anything else, and I guess we can go look at it right now. So that was all the trades for today. Pretty good day, I would say. But next time, just really got to focus on holding those winners longer. So let's see what happens. So wow, look at Tesla. Okay. So GEVO. Okay, so it definitely pulled back. I wonder what it pulled back to. So it pulled back there to around the 50%. A nice bounce off VWAP as expected, but it doesn't really look like it's squeezing too hard right now. An hour left on the day, so that was definitely the move right there. You can see on the daily chart we came up to about 224, which was this little swing high here. Had some more levels marked out. This might have some continuation tomorrow. If tomorrow it opens up at around 150, I'll consider another trade on it. But for today, I'm not going to touch it at all. Just a little bit too upset about missing out on it. But that's alright. So yeah, it's definitely not squeezing to like $10, so it's not that big of a miss. I'll just have to learn from my mistakes and, you know, keep making videos like this, you know, reflecting and looking back on what I did wrong. So yeah, that's it for today, guys. Happy trading. Adios.